All right, man. Well, as we get into this draft session this season, we're really making sure we take a wider look than even some of the players that we might pick, or we might, who knows. But we talked a little bit about Anthony Black and how we liked him, and a couple of people brought up how, or at least one person did, that there's a chance he could fall all the way to 12. Um, I haven't seen
There's a
him
lot of
that
places for these guys to do that, though.
exactly, and so it's hard to know necessarily, like, just because on one person's draft board they put him at 5, like, should we even just ignore that player, or and that's not how we work. So while some people out there will immediately say with this next player, there's no way we're going to get him, right?
Yeah.
I understand that sentiment, but it's still worth it to go ahead and dig in to see what this guy brings to the table. And if we were to trade up, would he be a trade table? Or if a player, like we keep saying, somebody who's probably in the top 5 slips, how low could he slip? So let's talk about Jarace Walker from Houston. He's got really good game.
I like it.
There's a wide range of potential players that I think he could end up emulating, but
Sure.
the reality is, like, there's nobody who I've seen who plays exactly like him. He's got a lot of old man game to him, and if you were to say this guy could shoot 40% from 3 and he could shoot from a high clip at his size, his ability to play in space, you would assume he played for 12 to 15 years. Like, he's got that it factor that you
Zach
need
Randolph.
to Zach Randolph style. So there's a lot to like about his game. I do not think the Thunder would pick Jarace Walker personally. And
I think there's more chance that they pick Jarace Walker over maybe another big man that would slip. If Jarace Walker fell to the Thunder because of his defensive impact, it would be hard. Man, listen, in college basketball, if we're 19 years old, you don't see the quick feet that Jarace has. So immediately that separates the fact that he can switch from really in college basketball from 5 to 1,
right,
and
yeah,
stay up with the point guard. Like, that was the most impressive thing about him. And to me, like, you see a player that can do that, and then immediately think of like Draymond Green. You think of players like Zach Randolph, and you start comparing them to these big body guys that can play the 5 position when small ball goes on. So I look at him and I say that he's a better player because of his ability to play 1 through 5 than any other big man that we would consider in this draft at this point.
If we're being honest, though, his game, he plays a big man game.
Yes,
old
a
school
defender.
big man game. Not just
Defender.
defensively, offensively. With the ball in his hand, he likes to get the ball, like you said, Zach Randolph, like maybe
Spot
a high
up shooter
post,
in the
a
corner.
wing, like a spot up. Like, do you trust him to like
Pick and roll.
run a lot of like pick and roll with him with the ball in his hands, or do you want him as a screener?
I
more?
loved his pick and pop. It really stood out to
and
me.
so he plays the big position, and he's 6'8". So I think
Yes,
the
that's
downside,
but that's the thing, is that's the one thing that I see, and I'm going with the idea of Sam Presti, looking for the positive in each of these players and how they could help the system, and I'm going with the defensive aspect for this young man, because the reality is that the way he can block shots, his 7'2" wingspan, he's 6'8". He beats a point guard to the spot that the point guard's trying to drive. Would by all means be way faster than him. He's got a great vertical leap. He rim protects. He does all these things that, in my opinion, like are amazing things to see in a forward that can play, center and can switch off a point guard, and also can pick and roll, and also can do all this other stuff and guard. So I look at it and saying, like, do I think Sam Presti would pick this player, Jarace Walker? Do I think he would? I think that he would be higher on the list than some other guys because of his versatility of playing 1 through 5, which there's not a lot of players on this draft that can do that.
I think, though, like one of the things I saw over and over and over again. Now, I didn't watch a lot of his highlights, but I thought about Sadiq Bey.
Sure.
I thought about
Sure.
Carl Landry.
Sure.
I thought about players who weren't necessarily stars, but like good role players, and they have the ability.
That's what we're looking at this point, like anything else that we can't be drafting to say this is a star. I mean, yes, we can, but if we're doing that, then we're expecting these players to come out right away.
The downside I was thinking about was Anthony Bennett. an undersized
Sure.
for like he's even undersized for power forward in the NBA, but like in college because he was quicker than people, he could play some small forward. But he is really his game is a power forward style game, old school power forward. Like he plays like a bit like a Larry Johnson did
Sure.
in small forward.
Sure.
He was Larry Johnson was able to transition into playing ball in his hand, and be aggressive, get downhill, and all that stuff. But I don't know that Jarace will for sure be able to do that, and
Sure.
that's my
There's a lot of
concern.
questions with him, and I'll be honest with you, is they're all warranted questions about his game. But if you're drafting him for his offensive game, then you're fucking up already. Like your whole point of drafting this young man is because he is a 1 through 5 defender. Does that make sense? Like,
Yes, but
and that's my point about him is that I'm looking at him the Oklahoma City Thunder way. If I'm another team, this is why he won't slip past 12. Won't slip. I'm sorry, past 12. Slip past 10. Is because other teams are going to see his versatility on defense as a much more adequate thing than an offensive player in these systems that are here. So there's just no way that he's going to slip past 12 because of his defensive, mentality and the way that he plays. You're not going to question whether his defense is going to transition into the NBA because you've seen enough guys that can guard 1 through 5 to know that, hey, these guys can play in the NBA.
I don't know, man.
Even they can play
I have
through
questions.
2 through 4.
I would
don't.
say some like here's the thing. He might be able to guard a total of 0 positions. Like
Sure, but I
because
feel like this guy has a better chance of not flopping than 3 of the other guys that we've already scouted. And I'm not going to
yeah,
pull up
but
names,
okay, that's
but
fine.
I'm just saying,
I'll
like,
agree with that,
because
but
of his defensive mindset, he has a chance to be like a Draymond Green out
Right.
there that
I
doesn't put up 10
understand.
points a game.
I understand that he does like the other guys do have a higher chance of flopping, but we have been covering guys that were more in the late lottery. We haven't been really
Sure.
looking at the high lottery yet.
Sure.
And I think in the high lottery you have to look at upside, whereas the late lottery you can look at maybe like you're saying like potential, like how high is their downside, like where's their floor. Whereas early lottery top 5, you want to be looking at how high is their ceiling, and I think when Larry Johnson, he's a bigger Larry Johnson, but I just questioned about like it looked like he questioned his shot before he shot it like almost every time. Like now that's just probably part of like
But
his
again,
shot.
I understand where you're coming from, but we got to forget the offensive side because
can't,
the
though.
offensive side. But what I'm saying though is we're looking at drafting him for the Thunder right now. The Thunder are looking at his offensive game and saying this needs a lot of development, right? This needs to go to the G League, right?
But, okay, I think he's ranked so
The
high
defensive
because
side.
of offense, though.
Well, listen, his set shot, if he's in the corner, it's money. All right. And that's going to translate into the NBA. The one thing that it doesn't translate is his playmaking ability of getting to the rim. All right. He's a little bit unpolished in that manner. Okay. And that to me is what I would say is that this is an attack, offensive team. Like he can sit in that corner, but they're eventually going to guard that.
Right.
So he needs to get that. He needs to go to the G League. And every player that we've looked at, I've that consistently said this about each of the players, that there's an aspect of their game that needs more time to develop into that G League. Whether it was the player that we're talking about yesterday, Gigi, saying that he need more time on defense in the G League. Like that's not a diss on him. That's not a diss on these players. That's just, being honest about their game and where they're at. And his offensive game is his weak spot of his game. And if we're looking at that and circling that and saying that's what we need to work on, that's great. But the defensive aspect is, in my opinion, would be considered, this is a player that in the past maybe would have slipped to the second round. But because of the way that Dort has changed the game of why you want a defender that's a great ISO defender out there that can play multiple positions, even might be undersized, but plays multiple positions. This has allowed a player like, Walker to fall up and jump up in this draft as far as he has because people value what Dort brings to the table.
Moani, thanks for joining us. We will cover Carson Wallace soon. He'll be the next player we cover because, he's got a good game, Kentucky player. I've done a little studying on him, but we should definitely make him the next guy. We appreciate you joining us, Moani. Anybody else, if you've got players for us to draft, look at in the draft. So you're saying he's more likely to be a Draymond Green defensively.
Yes.
My concern is that if you can't, if you get to the wrong situation and he feels like his primary focus for the team needs to be offensive, say he goes to, I don't know, I don't want to list teams, but like
Pacers. Go with Pacers, bro.
Yeah, but
go with the Pacers.
Even the Pacers have a pretty decent offensive system right now.
But if he goes in the top 7, though, teams are going to expect him to put up time right away.
Right. So if he, if something like that happens, right, and then he doesn't polish his defensive game, I just wonder, like, because he's not big enough to be like an automatic lockdown power forward defender.
True.
And he's not fast enough to automatically be a lockdown like small forward defender, which is such a tough position. So what he'd have to be is, like you're saying, a Dort. If he led with effort, if he was, but if he came in and he was like, oh, my job is to score, like he might not.
That's again why you don't draft a player like him to come and say, I need you to put up 15 points a game. You draft a player like him to be like, I want you to guard
what's up, man?
Their best defender, or best offensive player in this position. Like
right.
you do this because you're putting it in a position to succeed. And again, it's his offensive game isn't horrible, but it needs work. And I'm looking at him as if, I would draft, any defender in this league is like, how many positions can he guard in the league that he's playing in? Is he considered, a top end, whether shot blocker or has fast feet, right? Can he get in front of his guy and stay in front of his guy? And then when he gets beat, can he recover? And he covers all of those things, man. And I think that's the thing about when you're seeing a young man that's 19 years old, under 20 years old, and they cover a lot of these things. And it's not like Houston had a chump schedule. They played some really good teams this year. And so I see that and I'm like, okay, maybe this young man has a better chance at his game translation in the NBA. And I'm not saying that the Thunder are not going to pick Jarace by any stretch of the imagination. I just like to look at the players of how they can impact the Thunder team.
Right, exactly. And we've said it before. We said it already this episode, but like there's going to be players who we assume are going to be in the top 10 who slip. And it's going to be because guys like Gigi or somebody else jumps up the draft boards very quickly. So we just want to be prepared for every single angle on this one. And
listen,
here's the thing. Here's where
there could be 3 guys that jump in the draft.
Because previous episodes, right? You were saying that the future center of this league looks more like Draymond Green than it does Rick Smits or some 7-foot guy who can't guard all 5 positions. And I've kind of been like, okay, yeah, but how many guys are like that? So now that you're saying you really see this like it's like you're talking about lateral movement, you're talking about vertical movement, you're talking about desire,
takes charges, he has that passion when he blocks something, he's like fucking amped like nobody's business, bro. Like he has that passion nobody has.
And then he brings the polish on the rest of the game. So like potential he ends up being a defensive player of the year. Fareed, yeah, I know.
Fareed,
I know what you're talking about.
This is another guy that I would consider in his like the way that he rebounds and understands the game. Now Kenneth had like an instinctual rebounding aspect to him. So thank you, Mwani, for throwing this up here. But Walker he's a rebounding machine, man. And I think that's the thing about it is that the 1 through 5 positions, like you said, there are very few guys that can do this in the league. But as the league is transitioning and as the big guys, the tall, skinny guys are starting to come in, and they're going to be coming in a ton. They're going to be moving into the small forward and forward positions because they don't want them in the center positions. There's too many still big bodies in the NBA. They don't want to wear them down. So guys like Jarace that are going to be able to come into the system and guard and help on defense because he's probably the best defensive helper in this draft. Like those are the type of guys that you need to be anchors to your defensive team and anchors to your team. And the way that he understands how to play defense and a team defense is something that is elite. And again,
explain to me what it would look like for the Thunder to have him out there on the team if he was like defensively.
Yeah, no doubt in my mind that if he was out there, he would be taking the bigger body from Chet on defense. Just would. He can bump, he can grind. It would take a little bit of time, and that's why I think Jay Will or even J.R. Ree would have more of an up in the beginning of the season on him because they have that ability to take that impact. I want to see, and this is not going to happen all year, and there's going to be times that Chet's going to play that center position. But I really want to see Chet get in that forward position, get comfortable with shooting the threes, and put our other big bodies in defensive rebounders and offensive rebounders that can be that center position, like J.R. and Jay Will. And again, like if Walker was available, you know what? I mean, go for it.
Go for it. Like I do find it unlikely he's going to fall, but I also think that as teams fall in love with other players, Dave, we were talking about this yesterday. It was like they're not going to just like be like making announcements like, "Oh, this
No.
guy has moved up our draft board." Like at this point, it's all, cloak and dagger, secrets. Nobody knows anything about this shit. So we're trying to base like we're not looking off of nothing. We're basing our research off of like some other people's draft boards, and then we're coming back and trying to evaluate things. But it definitely, like when we see somebody who's ranked in the top 10, it doesn't intimidate us, because when you look at a player like Gigi, who some people have him ranked at like 20, it's like it totally.
And then other
could
people have
be,
him at 8
right
or 9.
So
You know,
right, so it's like we can't eliminate people just because they're highly ranked, and we're also not going to eliminate people because they're low ranked. And we got some guys.
and you know what Sam Presti started?
What's up, man?
Sam Presti started the whole idea of drafting a player and recognizing him as a project player for 2 or 3 years. Any of these developing teams are going to look at Gigi Jackson and say, you know what? He's going to be a developmental player at 7. I'm okay with going in that. You know, like Josh Giddey was
So
the same idea.
we're talking about two polar opposite players. If you want to talk about like draft prospects, when you talk about Gigi and we talk about Jarace.
Absolutely.
So Gigi, you draft because of offensive potential and you need to develop defensively. Jarace,
Yes.
so which
Absolutely.
direction do you go in if you have, say, a top 5 pick?
If I have a top 5 pick and I'm the Oklahoma City Thunder at this moment, like, and I'm trying to figure out where I want to go, is if you look at the track record of what Sam Presti has done, and let's just say since Trey Mann, all right, everything after Trey Mann, what has it been? It's always been a defensive team, high energy, high motors, incredibly high IQ. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I'm going for. I'm not changing my method. And I understand that people are like, well, just because he's done this in the past doesn't mean he's going to repeat and keep doing this. But my point is that why fuck it up and change it if it's working for you? You know, why change it and all of a sudden miss out on a player because you decided that you didn't want to stay in your way? So I think what I would like to see is Sam Presti get a high IQ, great defender that maybe can develop his offensive game. And so for me, I'm looking at it, and I love Walker. You know, and there's another big man we're going to be bringing up and talking about. I love him too. And I won't even spoil for anybody, but somebody's been consistently saying up there, we need to talk about this guy. We need to talk about this guy. But I'm in love with the idea of getting a player that is a defender, and hopefully we can develop his offensive game. And if we can't, he's still going to be useful in a game 7 situation. You know, he just will. Like, there's too many of these guys that we've seen that have come out like Dort and come out for a game 7 and just put up 30 points while, you know, destroying, you know what I'm saying? Like, we know that these guys can do this. I'm not saying Dort in particular, but we know these guys can do this out there. They can step up. And that's why I look at somebody like Walker and I'm saying, you know, is he available? Yes. Is he willing to step in the G League for even half a year? Yes. Then hell yeah, I'm willing to do it. You know, like, why not? You know, like, these are the type of positions that you're sitting, and you could say this could be the next. I mean, obviously he's not Giannis' size, but he could be the next blank. He could be the next Zach Randolph. And are you going to really want to pass on a Zach Randolph on this position? Or are you willing to pass on a Zach Randolph and go for a Gigi Jackson, and hopefully he develops into a smaller KD? You know, like, who knows?
I mean, I think Gigi Jackson, you're going to look back and be like, yeah, Tracy McGrady.
Well, I agree. That's why you can't turn
So
down
who
some
would
of these
you
guys.
rather, McGrady or Randolph?
Well, okay, for Memphis, Zach Randolph worked perfect. Let's just be honest. Like, that's what they needed. If you put Tracy Grady in there instead of Zach Randolph, then it doesn't work as well. You know, like,
I don't know, man. McGrady was like, I don't know.
I love McGrady. I loved McGrady since the Raptors years, and I always, like, the way his style of the game was and the way they put up offensive points was great. But make no mistake, man, when he was on defense.
Yeah, I mean, I could see the argument that, like, for Gigi, the low side could end up being like a Rudy Gay. And that might even be better than, like, what his low side is. But, like, you know, when you talk about the Grizzlies had Zach Randolph and Rudy Gay, but it was really Zach Randolph's team. You know,
You're right.
so
You're right. I
yeah,
don't know.
man.
I look at it like I look at I mean, if you ask me, would I rather have Draymond Green or Tracy McGrady? I mean, that's a no brainer there. But I don't think that it's fair to compare Jarace Walker with Draymond Green because
Would you
Draymond
rather
Green is a whole mental aspect to it.
Tracy McGrady or Klay Thompson?
I mean, Klay Thompson's won championships. Tracy McGrady,
Yeah, but I mean, so did Scottie Pippen, and I'm not saying anything
man, I
bad
don't.
about
You know,
Scottie.
I,
But
I would say
would you rather Tracy McGrady or Scottie Pippen?
Scottie Pippen, bro. Scottie Pippen, in my opinion, is one of the hands down 10 greatest players to ever play the game. Maybe 12 greatest players. But the point is that Scottie Pippen was, I mean, even in his old age, he took
I mean,
Portland to the Western Conference Finals, and then they sucked the year before.
in all honesty, McGrady was like a huge victim of NBA expansion because
Sure.
like there was so much of a diluted,
Sure.
so many teams. It was difficult to be great, and teams are fucking up, man. Like the Raptors had Vince and McGrady at the same time, bro, and like then
They
like he
couldn't
ends up
sign
in
him.
Orlando, and like pretty damn great in Orlando. And what he did with the Rockets, it was just like it was just hard to build winning teams when you're running into great teams on both sides of it. But I mean, I
And I
feel like
always had an
he
issue
gets
with,
shit on though
but
he's so
because of
high all the
playoffs,
time,
man.
dude.
Well, in the
So high.
playoffs. I think that's what killed him was
But he was always the only guy on his team. Like he was the G.
I know, but yeah,
If he had been able to stay with Toronto, it wouldn't have
I
been
know.
like that. But
Toronto,
every other
Toronto
place he
really
went, it was
fucked up.
like,
Toronto's fucked up so many times with so many good teams that you're like, oh, could have been.
man,
I mean, they were cousins, man. Vince and him were cousins. They were never going to leave that. That was a family environment.
yeah, man.
They didn't
And
know they were cousins. They only found out they were cousins after the draft. You ever hear about that? The story.
I don't think it was after the draft. I heard the story, but it was like after they had already met. But like Vince was in Carolina.
Yeah, he was at Tracy McGrady was at a family reunion and was
Yeah.
talking to the grandmother and was like, I have a nephew or
Yeah,
whatever great nephew that is over at North Carolina, and he's like, what do you mean North Carolina? Who? And it's like Vincey. It's like Vincey. You mean Vince, the Vince? She's like, yeah. He called him up on the phone and was like, hey, do you know Grandma Dada? He's like, yeah, that's my great aunt or something like that. And he's like, that's my grandma. That's
Yeah,
how they
dude.
found out.
Yeah, dude.
Vincey, bro, Vincey.
I think McGrady was something special. I think he gets shit on because he didn't get those rings, but I try not to think about that. I try to think about if anything like Pippen in a position that was similar where he didn't get rings and say like how would people respect him? Would he be considered even as good as like Charles Barkley? And instead of like trying to like say, well, McGrady didn't get it done. To me, McGrady was like you put him on the Lakers, they win 2 championships, and all of a sudden we're like, wow, was he one of the greatest of all time? Just because the
His scoring
media,
ability was
bro, the
pretty
fucking
spectacular.
media. I heard JJ Redick talking about this, and it's just like they've got to fix it. Like they only cover the big market teams, and it doesn't make sense when you have national media that can be so effective. But like it does affect the way that players' legacies are remembered, and it does affect things like the way that I don't know the players like the Thunder feel like they have to go somewhere else to get recognized.
I know.
Like the media needs to fix this shit because it's not just New York and LA that matters. I understand that basketball is better when those teams are good, but it's like they act like it doesn't matter when those teams aren't good, and it's fucked up because the reality is this next
Some of
generation
the
of the
best.
Thunder
Yeah.
they're gonna demand the respect, and they better figure out a way to cover them in a way that's like honest and like appropriate because they didn't do it before.
No, and there's no way they're going to let this one slide because if
Better
it's
fucking
looking
not.
about, I mean, the biggest fan base in the world, the
Yeah.
Oklahoma State Thunder could be covering that. And I understand that people are like, oh, well, Victor's going to hold down France. Well, yeah. But what if Ousmane Dieng and then we pick up another French player turn out to be, gold winning French for Olympics, like French players for the Olympics? Like this will make a difference in, who ultimately gets the vote in what teams are watching. Are you going to watch Victor, who is one French player? Or are you going to watch multiple French players for the Oklahoma City Thunder? It's going to go across the board. It's going to go in Canada. And when people are looking at it, they're going to be like, oh, man. I mean, Australia, people are going to be like, this is amazing. Look, we have a bunch of players from the NBL over there. Sam Presti's done a masterpiece at making this a global game for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And because of that, there's no way a team or ESPN is going to be able to ignore him anymore.
Let's be honest though. Sam Presti's done an amazing job, and this isn't Adam Silver's job. Like, it's not his problem, but well, it wasn't his problem. He didn't fuck it up, but it is now. The way that the fucking NBA is covered, the way that like local teams, local channels have blacked out things, and there's like, especially with Bally Sports going bankrupt right now, like they have got to fix the way that people watch games, because
I know, man.
It's fucking atrocious and
Horrible.
I feel
You know,
like
the Suns, you know what they did, right?
yeah, but you know what?
I love what they did.
They started moving in that direction, but I saw that the court might have blocked them, dude.
Well, yeah, but he's not going to stop. I mean, like, he recognizes that in order to reach all the fan bases, you have to make it so it's, you know, accessible for everybody across your state.
Usman Jang was French, I think, too. But
yes,
keep going.
Yes, Usman Jang is definitely French. So that's where I go back to, is that, like, what was I saying? I'm sorry.
I fucking forgot, bro. You're talking about national TV is what I was mentioning before I distracted you.
But like the national TV aspect on, I will not stop with it. Like, the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to get nationally recognized, because as LeBron goes out and the Lakers have no draft picks and they have nothing left, and the same thing will happen with the Celtics, and the same thing will happen with all these other teams that are just going to end up like flaring out because they didn't build their organizations right. The NBA is not going to start rewarding those teams. It's going to take them decades to bounce back. And I'm okay with that, because while it takes them decades, the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to be that team for decades to be able to rule the NBA, making them no longer a small market team, but a big market. And we saw that happen last time with the Oklahoma City Thunder, when we were producing like the third most sales in the NBA, or even like the most jersey sales for like 2 or 3 years in a row. Like, we see what happens when a team has multiple superstars on them. And that's why I think the Oklahoma City Thunder are just going to continue doing more and more like that, you know? Like, there's no stopping it, you know? And by the way, Olivier Sarr is another French player we have on the team too. So like, I get to that point where I love what Sam's doing with the whole idea of, this is a global game. We're going to include as many countries as we possibly can, as well as the players that should be on this team. It's not about what country you are. It's about the player that you are and the human being that you are. And it's impressive, man. Like, I get really excited about it, because we're not going to be ignored this next year, this next 2 years. Like, it's just not going to happen. They're going to look at us and be like, this is exciting. Like, the Lakers are getting old. Nobody wants to watch them anymore. Like, this isn't 1982 where you get one game and it's the Knicks versus Celtics, and that's the only game you get. Like, that's not how it is anymore. You know, NBA TV is incredibly intelligent. They're watching how many people are watching each game and why they're watching each game. They know the Oklahoma City Thunder fans are coming. They know they're hungry. You know, they get to see all the pirated amounts of video gets all over the world. They see those numbers. So it's just a matter of time before the NBA recognizes that this isn't a big market team anymore. This isn't a big market organization anymore. It's a global organization, and the small markets are big markets now.
Yeah, dude.
Money, money, money.
Yeah, man. NBA TV is included with League Pass, is what Moani's saying. I've had so many times though when NBA TV picks up the game and I get blacked out on League Pass, and then I can't get TV. Annoying. Yeah, there's so many, and so you end up like watching it on a stream that you're like, well, I shouldn't feel bad because it's either that or miss the game, but I wish they would just figure it out. And I know a lot of people aren't willing to go watch it on these CD type websites that you have to go to get that type of stream. So
blocked. It's blacked out. It's just dumb. Like,
this is Adam Silver's fucking problem, and he needs to fucking fix it. He needs to make the league. He needs to modernize
accessible,
it.
Man.
Yeah, accessible. It just
like 99 cents a game.
If it's not him, it's gonna be the next guy.
If he made it 99 cents a game, you could choose your game. There's no way that you wouldn't have at least 2 million more people watching each game.
Yeah,
you know,
I would watch a lot of games, but you gotta be able to watch them in your own area. And I would totally dump like every single cable package because I only have cable to watch the Thunder. Like, I don't really fucking like watching TV.
I watched the news for the first time this morning.
Oh, I bet you're pumped up about life now.
Oh, man. Crazy shit going down, bro.
People getting shot here, people getting shot there.
Fuck the world. Oh, that thing that you sent me about Morant, I love that, bro. Charles Barkley speaking the truth about how he felt about Morant, and then he went on about Zion Williamson saying basically like these guys can make $1 billion by the time that they're 33 years old, like what we said, and they're fucking it up. He's like, I can't handle this. It's making me sad. It's making me disgusted because, like, if I had to lose weight for $2 million, I had to skip my thing. He's like, for $200 million, I would have been anorexic. You know, like for real. Like these guys, like if all you have to do is keep weight off, not play with weapons, and you get to be a billionaire and just play hoops, like what are you doing? Or like is it
you
that
play
hard?
Play with weapons, just don't play with them on Instagram.
Yeah, for real. Like make your area, like if you touch your phone while I'm around you, I will smash your phone. Like make it a thing, man.
Smashing phones, that'll get you arrested.
Seriously. Man.
Dude,
fucking people, bro.
I don't get it, but I also understand like that when you look at it, you have to give people respect and say like there's probably more going on than we can understand. Anytime we're like it makes no sense why anybody would throw that away, you have to be like, well, maybe we don't know all the information. And sometimes like it can sound like excuses, but like I thought it was really interesting some follow-up I saw like I don't know who it was, but it was just like basically like the welfare check more than likely was not called in by the police didn't call it in themselves because of the Instagram post.
They did not.
Okay, so with that said, it was probably his family.
Oh, fuck yeah, it was his family, bro. I mean, like, listen, I'm concerned for Ja. I mean, like on every level, like everybody that's out there that has that knows anybody that has tried to commit suicide or that has committed suicide. Like you saw what just happened there, and there's no way that wasn't a cry for fucking help.
I mean, you assume in this situation he's depressed.
Like, dude, how could you not be depressed? I mean, you're looking at losing almost $100 million off of your contract.
Yeah.
Like, how could you not be depressed? But the thing is that's why it's so strange. Like, that's when family's supposed to be there for you. That's when family's supposed to be there. And maybe he's shutting everybody out. Maybe he's not doing anything else like that. But I'm concerned because like if he's shutting everybody out and his family's the only way they can get a hold of him is by calling the cops and doing welfare checks. Like we're in trouble, bro. I mean, he's in trouble.
It's going the wrong direction. But it seems like every turn has gone the wrong direction.
Yeah. And that's the thing is like every decision by his part in the social media aspect has been a fuck up. Like he should have known family pictures everywhere. You should have known that. Like I'm sorry, but like that is I'm done with this world. That's not I'm taking a break from social media because you say I'm taking a break from social media. Bye. That's what you say. You don't say bye. Here's all my family family photos. Like this is a more serious situation than people are making it out to be, and that's fine. But that just means that he's not getting the help that he needs to make better decisions, and that's the concerning part here.
I mean, it's kind of like this is bullshit and I shouldn't do it, but like certain people respond to things. So like every time we look at it, we're like, well, the smart thing to do would be to do this. And he kind of just like does the opposite. And then it's like, well, what is he doing? It's like, so the smart thing would have been to not go back on social media. Right. And
but that would have just hid the thing. Somebody would have taken a photo of him doing something stupid in the future. Like the smartest thing for him should have been, I'm going to get help to understand why this is a problem. And if that takes me 6 months of counseling, that takes me 6 months of counseling. Like we've seen it happen before. Who was it that played NFL? Ricky Davis, man. Remember Ricky Davis? The running back from Texas, Ricky
Williams.
Williams, thank you.
Yeah.
Right? He quit playing football.
Yeah.
Why? Because he couldn't get mentally right there. He couldn't. Nothing that he did was helping him, and he kept on making bad decisions. So he took it on himself to get right in the head before it was too late. and he lost the rest of his career. Now, he lost a shit ton of money doing it.
Yeah.
But guess what? He's going to die an old happy man because he got his shit right. That's what this needs to happen, man. Money isn't a thing right now. If I was his dad, I'd be like, get the fuck away from me. I don't want this money from around him. I don't want any of this stuff around him. I want him to be right in the head before anything else. Anything else.
So, like, a lot of people who pay a lot closer attention to this stuff, they say, like, he looks like he's drinking, like, all the time. So,
can I be honest?
Yeah.
Like, there's rappers out there that rap about NBA players doing drugs.
Right.
Sipping this, sipping that, right? I mean, here's the thing, the problem with the situation is that the way that he's portraying with the colors of his hair, right? And different things like that, and the leaning and different things like that he does, you have to wonder if it's not just alcohol. If there's something more to the story here.
So he's like, all right, he does what everybody does, right? You
just
do whatever it takes to get high and to stay high, right? You drink a little, you smoke a little, you take a few.
You lean a little.
You lean a little, whatever.
Drop
We've all been there. We all do that. I get it. Like, that's called every day, right? So what happens,
but
though,
we
I
don't
think
get paid
is maybe,
$250 for it.
Yeah, but I think he gets a little bit, like, confused about where he is. So, like, people are like,
yeah.
You just have to avoid pulling the gun out when the Instagram live is going. But it's also like, if you're on 3 or 4 substances and you're just like grooving, you're probably not like super like in control. So that's why I'm like, it's not just like, oh, this guy's out,
dude,
pulling a gun out.
I've had an
gotta
addiction.
Be intoxicated, right?
I'm sorry, I want to be careful with what I say, but I've had an addiction issue with pain meds before. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you a lie. I've had an serious addiction that took many years for me to get away from.
Right.
And I look at what's happening with him at that age, and the way that he's holding himself, the way that he's portraying himself, and that is what he's portraying that he is having, a pain addiction issue. And that's the concerning part, because this isn't just an alcohol issue. And so you're talking about like
painkillers, but you're talking about lean, you're talking about like...
I'm talking about pills. I'm talking about that's what he's portraying this is. And that's what concerns me, because if it is a pill issue...
Right. But then that's such a high prevalency in sports. Like, I get that, like, okay, there's a difference between like recreational and like, but whatever, like Brett Favre.
But some people can't handle it, man. How many times do we know a drug dealer that couldn't handle taking pills, and the next thing you know is
I don't think any of them can handle it. Like, that shit's hard, man. Like, eventually you're getting high on your own supply, and if you have so much money where like if you're into something and you have unlimited access to it, then it can become...
Look at the rappers that are around him. Look at the guys that are talking always. They're always talking about this stuff. You don't have to look too far about it. You just have to see who's around his circle and to understand what they're rapping about to know what he's around.
He doesn't even have to change his lifestyle. He just has to like make sure nobody has a phone with them when he's hanging out with them.
He needs to get the old flip phones with no cameras.
I mean, and I understand, like, and that's what's so confusing. I feel like in the end, if you're so addicted to social media, which it's like, I don't know, everybody is, like, we're on YouTube right now. We're on a form of social media, right? And like, everybody is addicted.
You won't find me on Facebook
way.
Or Instagram or anywhere.
But like, still, like, I still check Twitter. I was like seeing about that ref that's getting in trouble. Like my point is, like, if you grow up with that, and then you're like leaving it, does it feel like a part of you's dying?
Yes. Dude, how many times have, like, before I was done with Facebook and Instagram, and I was on there, hours a day, and then I would stop. I'm like, oh, what is everybody else doing? What's everything else is going on? Like, where's all my friends at? What they're doing? Like, you lose all of that. Like, there's a serious crash on it, bro. Like, on every level. On every level. You'll be like, you'll set up fake accounts so they can like spy on people because you don't have anything else to do. And you're like, I want this. I want to see what's going on, And it's like, no, like, cut yourself off of that stuff. Like, anybody that is on social media knows what I'm talking about. Anybody that's on social media, they've all gone through it. They're like, I need to take a break from this, right? It's taking up too much time in my life. Like, that's the thing about it. Like, I just don't, I get where he's coming from. but social media is probably, a good source of income for him. Just is. And if he's smart about it, he would have somebody, that's not live, that will cut out shit that's not supposed to be on there, that goes around and films him and does the stuff that he wants on social media. Like, again, being intelligent about this. Like, you have an empire. Like, do you want your empire to be like Sean Kemp's empire when it's all said and done?
I know. It's like, it reminds me so much of like the owner of the Colts, Jim Irsay. Like, he got busted with like $75,000 in cash in a limousine and tons of pills. And it's like, at some point, like, that's not you. You know what I mean? Like you're too rich. You need to have multiple
NFL too.
Insulation.
Yep.
Right? Like, I just feel like, yeah. And you were mentioning it, and obviously it's a real problem because, like, on Twitter, this NBA ref, we were seeing this stuff, and this could all be fake. Like, Twitter, I don't even know what to believe anymore that comes out on Twitter. But when I see it being confirmed by multiple sources, I'm like,
I got one question for you.
Yeah.
Before I forget, if you are in charge of $1 billion industry, why wouldn't you pay somebody 6 figures to consistently follow each of your players, your assets that are worth $1 billion to you? Why wouldn't you pay somebody 6 figures, and it doesn't matter how many 6 figures, to follow them around? If they walk around, hey, you're going in that car, I've got to be with you. I'm sorry, you can't be alone.
Because they would hate you.
I know, but these young kids need it, bro. Come on. Like, how many of these young guys are we seeing fuck it up because they can't get it right? They even have cars that take in places that are part of the team that you can call up without, questions asked, that will pick you up at any place that you need, and they will drive you home. Like, why wouldn't you invest more in these players? Fucking put trackers on them. Give them ankle bracelets, bro.
Let's track them all the time.
You're gonna make $1 billion. We're giving you guys this. Jerry Jones.
George Steinbrenner do something like that at one point with one of his players? He hired a private investigator to follow him around. And
he did that so many times, bro.
Information to like
renegotiate contract.
Yeah, like renegotiate. Yeah. Okay.
George, yeah, guys.
He got suspended for it too. But anyway, NBA
Insanity.
ref Eric Lewis allegedly has been so addicted to Twitter that he opened up a burner account to like monitor all references to his name and challenge the narratives. And this is all allegedly. I should have prefaced it with that, but I will say,
I love it. Allegedly.
Like it's under investigation. There's this account that it's Cutliff Blair, and if you go through and you watch all of the videos, you end up realizing, yeah, he was defending himself at a really high rate, and it would have to either be an elaborate plot or he's so addicted to Twitter.
I'm not a bad ref.
I know,
I'm not a bad ump. I am not a bad ump, guys. I swear to God. Look at all these things that this person's saying about me. I'm not a bad ump. Wait, that's you. Shit. You're fucked, crazy. Buddy. You're fucked.
Yeah, dude. And I'm like, it reminds me so much of what happened in Philadelphia with Brian Colangelo, and like his wife and him or something had a burner, and they were like trashing the players that wouldn't play, and like, and he was there that was brought in to clean things up. Yeah. So
I'm gonna clean them up.
I know, it's like, if you're in this position of NBA ref or like whatever, why are you monitoring yourself? I mean, I've seen like
have you seen some of those refs, bro? The way they look.
It's not just him, dude. Like, remember like one time we said something about what's his face, the ESPN personality, and he was all like, he like came at us like solid, dude. It was like Scott Van Pelt. Like, yeah. It was like we were just like
we called him out on our show one time, and we
made fun of him because
us.
He was like pissed that the Thunder had not gotten the over on the wins. Yeah. When we got to like 22 wins, we stopped winning, and he was like,
he was lost some money.
So I was like, "What, are you losing a bet, dude?" And then he came at us, and it was like, "What are you doing? You're Scott Van Pelt." Yeah. Like, we would trade positions any day, but you give a fuck about what we're thinking about. Yeah. It's like, so it was just like, fuck you, even twice as hard. But like,
it was great.
It's hilarious because,
man,
why is it that these people can't just like realize that like they're famous? they're
Yeah.
rich. Like it's like they have to control the narrative on top of that, and it's like an egomania that's like unheard of.
Yeah. I mean, let's just be honest. Before Royce Young moved away from ESPN, he was the same way. Like he
Well, yeah.
didn't like it when people talk
But
negative
now
about
he's a
him
part
and
of the
stuff.
Thunder, so we
Now he's part
support
of the
him.
Thunder. We
And
always talk positive
we
about
call
him.
him our daddy, and we give
But
him all the props.
but let's just be honest. When we
All the
started
glory
this-
to
this-
Royce. Cheers.
when we started this podcast, bro, we didn't say anybody or tell anybody our names. We were quiet about it. We didn't want to say anything about it. We were just quiet, right?
Right.
We're 6 months into it, and Royce starts listening to our podcast, and he comes out and is just like, "Who are you guys?" And then he's finally like, "I figured out who you were."
Right.
And he's like, "You guys are the Flats." And like, I remember it was just being like, "Dude, why did he just do that?
Why did he do that?
Why did he do that? Like, why did he
dox
just
us?
like it just helped us out? Like."
But we
then-
definitely were shy. We didn't want everybody to know who we were.
But the thing about it is that like with Royce though, like I've always said this about Royce. When Royce was positive about the Thunder, it was the best.
It was
When
the
he
best years of my
wasn't,
life,
it was the
man.
hardest part to read because I knew what Royce was good
It happens.
at.
It happens when people go national because they start realizing that like they're gonna get made fun of in the in the mess hall or whatever if they're not like the most realistic about their team. So then they
Exactly.
become
But
over realistic.
I get it though, and that's what I was saying. Is like that's why I was frustrated is because I knew how good he was at. I knew he could say the best things about the Thunder, and it was like ESPN was taking the whole like 10
Yo, and
paragraphs he
check
was
this out,
writing
bro.
and putting all the bad things.
He checked himself, right? I think he realized what happened, and he was like, "Yo, man, I don't want to sell at OKC just to be." Like,
That's why I
famous
love
or
fucking
whatever."
Royce, man. He's the man.
I love fucking Royce too.
Yeah. That's fuck yes.
I mean, honestly, dude, what he did when he shifted up and he went and worked for the Thunder and said, "We're gonna document this rebuild, and we're gonna do it with high production quality. We're gonna do it with a famous voice, and we're gonna do it in a way that will lift the quality." Honestly, like the videos they produce,
It's amazing, bro.
they make the fans better fans, more informed fans. They
That's it.
create an environment where you feel better about the organization because it's like that's like their marketing video. And it's like if you're watching a marketing video and it looks like it was produced in the 90s and it's all grainy and the audio's fucked up, you know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. The path of fire, like
Exactly.
everything. It's not just the path. He has another one too that's
It's the X.
right.
something.
Yeah, like, and it's like he keeps coming out with a shit, and it's like he's pushing everybody's game. And it was like when he was working for ESPN, you would get like this like fraction of what he would do for when he was with the Daily Thunder and what he would, and it was just hard.
But that
It was
wasn't
like,
what he was good at, though. That's why, like,
but he was good at that too, and he's brought that back.
But what I'm saying though is like what he wasn't good at was the down years for the Thunder. Like
who
those
was
were the
the-
times that his
You know,
like he
everybody
wasn't
quit
able to
in the
shine.
media, dude. Everybody,
wasn't able to
all the
shine.
media quit, dude. And now
I know, but
I
I just-
noticed that the media is quitting. Like the national media is starting to quit on the Thunder. Like I saw that. Who was it? I've been looking at the website for years, bro. 1 second, I'm gonna pull it up. Welcome to Loud City.
Mhm.
They just got scrapped recently, like
Really?
in January, by like I guess like Vox Media had purchased the umbrella that owned them, and then the people there that were doing a good job for Welcome to Loud City for years went ahead and
Yeah.
like left the platform, but
Wow.
they just decided they weren't going to support the site anymore. And
Support.
since they had built it all on this site all these years, now they have a new vlog. But like I don't know, even like Daily Thunder. If you ever, I used to go there every day. Like
Yeah.
they don't do anything but repost like the Uncontested podcast because those guys bought it from Royce. It's like
Right.
the media has like it's been dumbed down and it's been shit on, and there's really like there's nothing good left. Like there's really like who does a good job covering the Thunder now? Like honestly, there's a couple of people at the Oklahoman that are good, but it's not really.
There's one. I would say there's one podcast. We won't get into which podcast that is, but there's one podcast that focuses on that things that happen with the Thunder that makes it okay. But as far as anybody else covering,
like
bro,
writing, like what it used to,
There's
there was a
nothing
golden
out there.
age of writing. The golden age of writing was so good that it seemed like we had like the deepest writing roster in the NBA, and it was going to last forever. And now it's like
They
we
all got
don't
jobs.
have. We had Anthony Slater went on and followed KD to Golden State. Like we lost all of our depth, and then it's like, will we ever get it back? It'll come back, but I mean, it's just going to take those people who follow winning, right? Like in the end, Anthony Slater left, but not just that. Like if you look at it, everybody left, and not everybody left, but people stopped coming. Like in its peak, the Thunder at their prime, Oklahoma City was such an oddity. They were sending people from the New York Times. They were sending people from every publication to go, get the word on what's going on now. And I think
that's right, man.
It'll happen again.
And if there's somebody out there that's thinking about being a writer and you guys need a platform to help release some of your stuff about the Thunder, reach out to us, because we'll help you guys out, because we want to help any of these young guys that are looking to, whether it's writing, whether it's anything like that. That's what we love to do. So if you're a writer,
I'd way rather be a writer. Like in the end, it's just 10 times as hard. Like I find myself like I'll sit down and write an article, and I'm just like I can spend hours on it. And I've seen people who write for the Thunder, different websites for the Thunder. They'll be like, I spent 5 or 6 days on this piece, and I'm like, I'm a father. I have a job. Dude, we do this.
We do it live, so we can do everything without editing. Yeah. Period. Like we do this. Why do we do this? Is because like we're not focused on making our podcast the easiest and best listening podcast. We're about being real and who we are, and that's why it's raw. I mean, it's raw as a fucking diarrhea ass, bro.
I get the vibe what you're saying. Like if you want to, Brandon is great. Thank you. Appreciate that. Brandon Rabar is great in what he does and covers the Thunder in such a positive way. I think he's taken over that crown from Royce, and I appreciate you mentioning Mwani because I kind of have forgotten, but I do appreciate the people who continue to do it. There has been a new crop of young people who have kind of said like, I want to be the next generation, but with like the shakeups in the media, and look, this isn't just Thunder media. Like there's shakeups in every part of the media. You look at ESPN shaking things up,
Barstool Sports
shaking things up,
all, man.
Then on top of that, you see maybe like I sent you a clip of Stephen A. Smith, his podcast, and now he's covering political things. So it's like a little bit of jealousy, like of the freedom that these people have. And I'm wondering when he gets deep into the DeSanto stuff, and that's what Disney is his, parent company of ESPN and yada, yada, yada. Like he could find himself in a tough spot where like they can't keep working with him on ESPN. And there's so many shakeups on the way. And it feels like every 6 to 8 years, there's a massive shakeup. And it feels like after it happens, like, well, that's been like that forever. But like The Athletic, that started in like 2016. The Ringer, that started in like 2016. And now they feel like institutions that have been around for generations, there's going to be another round of shakeups. It's just who's it's going to happen and who's going to represent the Thunder. And we sure as hell hope that it's Brandon Rabar. I can never say his name. I feel bad.
Wadabu. No, I think that when it comes down to it, there's very few people inside the Oklahoma City Thunder media, podcasting, writers that truly understand what Sam Presti is trying to accomplish here.
I know. Royce is one of them, but now he's...
And if you listen to other podcasts out there in the Oklahoma City Thunder community, like there's some people that grasp it just slightly, right? But they're so far away.
What's up, Sam?
You got to scratch your head and say, are they more focused on making sure that people understand who they are as individuals, or are they more focused on this team? And sometimes, having a good podcast, as we've learned, like people want to know more about you. But man, the Thunder is it, bro. Like we could sit here and have a show, an episode, an hour each day talking about the Thunder and bring up different subjects about the Thunder. Fuck, we've done it for 2 years in a row. Like we could do that. But we recently just started like talking about other sports because it's relevant. And we recognize that you guys are coming here to listen to not just the Oklahoma City Thunder, but other stuff. And it's nice because we'll now have 75% Thunder, 25% other stuff. And I like that ratio. It's allowing us to be more genuine with who we are.
And whatever happens. We don't give a fuck. Last time we got our shit age restricted.
I know. Being obscene. We got a strike, bro.
No strike. Just
no strike.
Yeah, no strike.
Just so from now on, it's 18 or above. That's
just that episode. for some reason I put fucking into the headline, and it just
I like fucking in the headlines.
I don't want to put it in there anymore. But I wanted to send an appeal to YouTube and just say like how is it that this is so offensive that you would compare it to like nudity? Like this is not nudity. This is a
Sam.
word. But whatever. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to let it stand. It's a badge of honor. I thought honestly all of our episodes were set at 18 over. So that was kind of a shocker. I don't want
Well,
I
mean,
want it
let's
to
just-
be restricted. I don't want anybody to watch this that doesn't know they're getting into a shit show.
Man, I'll be honest with you. My kids, yell at me every time I use a cuss word inside the house. I try to hold my shit, but hell and damn, slip out from now to now. From
This
time
is
to
the
time.
place to let it fly.
So I get
the
on
shit
here,
fly.
guys, and I let it fly. And military, Mark spent some time in the military, even though he won't admit to it. But we've been there, and we like to let things go. So thanks for letting me be us.
This is where that happens, guys. All right. Let's take Sunday off and come back Monday, and let's
Monday
do
is
something.
Memorial Day.
Oh yeah, Monday's Memorial Day. So that's a good day for the fam, bro. No episode Monday. Let's come back Tuesday. Talking Carson Walls.
If we do Monday, let's do Monday evening when everybody else is off.
All right. If we do Monday, let's do a mock draft.
I'm down.
Mock draft Monday, everybody. Join us.
Boom, boom. Double
See ya.
M's.
See ya.